Welcome back, investors, to the Investing with Our YouTube channel for another portfolio update. So this one will be for the second week of May, and we ended last week at 140,325, and we end this week on 143,323 for a 1% gain, which equates to just under 1.5K. But if you look at the chart for the last week, it was essentially every day was really green, including at one point where we got up to £147,000, which equated to being up just over 5.5K. But then at the end of the week, we had a bit of a pullback, which was actually quite healthy. It's not actually good if it just goes straight up continuously. So I was actually quite happy with a pullback at the end of the week, as it is better long term for the market for it to do that. But still, a nice 1% gain. Now, I did make a purchase this week. So I deposited 1.5K, and also I sold my entire position in Costco for a £488 gain, which equated to 25%. So I believe in Costco. It's a really good company, but there are other opportunities within the market. And as you can see from the screen, the stock I bought was Corning, stock ticker GLW. I sold a bit of my Imperial Brands to buy some more. Now, if you watched my video last week, the thesis on this company is that it provides optical fibers for data centers, amongst other things, but it's most famous for the glass on iPhone screens. But I think the trajectory of this company is going to be quite solid on the back of these optical fibers for data centers. Now, this is my position. We bought 34.3 shares for just around 5K. We were up on this position, but we've settled down at the end of the week at 2.2%. During the video last week where I suggested that it was a buy and I was looking to add, it was around 186, and it opened on the Monday at a high of $217, pulled back to under 200, and that's why I thought this is a good solid buy. I'm happy to get this at under 200, so my average cost is $197, and I think this company will do well. So that was a purchase that I made. And speaking of purchases being made, there have been some filings from some of the super investors about what they're investing in, and this is from Berkshire Hathaway. So obviously Warren Buffett has stepped down, but hopefully the company still has solid influence within the market in terms of when it buys stock. They're usually good picks. And one interesting thing is that last quarter they added 200%, so just over 36 million shares in Google, which is quite bullish. And as you know, Google's had a very phenomenal run. Interestingly, they bought Macy's, which is a department store, which is seen as a company not doing so well. So let's see how that does. There was some debate on Twitter whether this is a good buy, but let's see. But what's quite interesting is that they sold a lot of positions, and a few other of the super investors are doing that. So it suggests that maybe there might be a bit of a rotation towards cash towards the end of the year. And I want to trim as well. So when the VIX level gets a little bit lower, I would like to trim some of my positions to have a bit more cash available for some buys, including one I'm looking at, which is Caterpillar, which I want to try to add as well, if possible. Now, another thing that I saw that was quite interesting was this post where it showcases how many times the S&P 500 has hit all-time highs from 1929. And as you can see, we've hit 18 all-time highs this year. But if you look at some of the other years, in 2021, we had 70, 2020, we had 33, 2017, we had 62, 2014, we had 53. Even in the last couple of years, we've had 39 last year and 57 the year before. So it suggests that obviously there are years where the markets hit a downturn, but I don't think this year is one of them. So there hopefully should be a few more all-time highs hit. Now, the other piece of news that came out was some filings that were released about Trump's investments. Now, he's invested over $1 million in Nvidia stock, but there were some others that were disclosed. So the document was 113 pages and it had 3,642 transactions, including sales. But what it does show is that he has more than $1 million of stock in ServiceNow, Nvidia, as I mentioned, Adobe, Workday, Oracle, Microsoft, Broadcom, Amazon, Uber, Apple, Boeing, and Dell, and some more as well. But so we own Nvidia, we own Microsoft, Broadcom, Amazon, and Apple. So when somebody as influential on the markets as Trump is buying some of these stocks, then it might be something that you should consider as well. Especially this one, ServiceNow. If we look at its chart, it's down just under 55% in the last year. So this might be a potential one that people should look at. I'm not sure I will, but it wouldn't be surprising to see this one do well, especially after the government bought a stake in Intel, which then had a superb run in the last quarter, for example. So I think they bought a stake last year. As we can see in the last 3 months, Intel is up just under 130%. And for the last year, almost 400%. But obviously, they're a chip company which are catching bids and are very popular right now. But the government having stakes has some influence within these stocks, and ServiceNow might be one that might be something that some of you look at. Now, we did get some dividends, including a chunky dividend from Centrica for £70. This pays twice a year. We also got some more payments from Apple, Costco, MasterCard for £8.81. And the overall history of the dividends is just under £8,000 so far. So £8,000 for doing nothing, free money just from investing. So really, really powerful. If you're liking the visibility on this video, please, if you can, press the like button. Subscribe to follow my journey to see where this portfolio goes, including full transparency on what I do, and help grow the channel, please. Now, if we look at the overall positions within the portfolio, Google performing solidly, getting close to a 25k position, which is absolutely huge. I don't have any plans of trimming this as of now, but if it gets to about 450, then I'll have a look at the PE ratio and the forward PE just to see what I want to do. Meta's break even. Nvidia, which had a solid week, at one point it hit $237, but settled at the end of the week at 224. We are up, getting close to the 100% mark. Broadcom was over 100% for a bit last week. Micron is really, really surging up and is gotten into the top 5 position within my portfolio. Considering I didn't own this at the beginning of the year, that is amazing. The trajectory of this one is one I've never seen in my portfolio before. Robinhood down a bit, 30%. Then you got Oscar, which has had a phenomenal ride. I think it's been up for 6 weeks in a row. If we look at the last month, we're up almost 50%, and it has really rallied to just over 40% in gains. Visa up just under 5%, and MasterCard down just over 5%. Both of these should do well. The metrics are solid, and I think it's one of those where I'm going to continue waiting and see where we progress. Then we've got Imperial Brands, big dividend payer, which I trimmed a little bit recently just to buy Corning, which I have high hopes for, up just over 55%. Then you've got Carnival, up just under 84% for a 4.3% position. Microsoft had a good week, actually, up just over 1%. But one of the pieces of news that made Microsoft rise, it was Bill Ackman, who runs a huge hedge fund, bought a stake within Microsoft. So this is something that is bullish. Then you've got IREN, which is down 12%. I had a bit of a up and down week where it got to at one point where I was up on the position, and then again on Thursday it got close to break even, and then it went down again. But I have no worries with this position because I think this one will do really well going forward. Other competitors within the same sector, such as Nebius, have gone on a big tear, and there's no reason why IREN can't do the same. Tesla, we're up just under 90%. United Health, up just over 8%. Interestingly, actually, Berkshire Hathaway ended up selling their stake with United Health, and I think right at the end there was a bit of a downturn because of this news, but ultimately this company is the big player within the US insurance market, and we know how much they charge. So going forward, it should be okay. Then you've got Amazon up just under 38%, and Corning, my new position, down just over 2%, but we were up on this position even after we bought it, up a few percent. But again, I have good solid hopes for this company. Then you've got Centrica, which paid the dividend, up almost 70%. So if you look at the last year, up 26%, which is really good for a strong dividend payer. They don't really usually go up, especially UK ones, but this has still a place within my portfolio. But there are other strong opportunities out there. So we'll see how long I hold it. But even if I exit at 70% gains, that's really, really solid. Then you've got Grab, one of two, I would say, big down positions within my portfolio. But again, Grab is moving really strongly within the Southeast Asian market. And I would love to add to this actually, just to reduce my average, but so many other opportunities. The main one being that I want to add is Caterpillar. I want to add that for stability. So we'll see if I'm able to do that later on. Then you've got Apple up just over 50%. Now this one is starting to perform like a Mag 7 again, up just over 40% for the last year. And I think we did hit $300 at one point. Let's have a look. Yeah, the high was 303. So new all-time highs for Apple, really strong. Then you got KLA up 114%. It's two small positions within my portfolio, and ASML, the other one, up 77%. So that's it. Overall, up just under 1.5K for the week. So really solid with the progress. And thank you very much for joining me on this video, and I'll see you on the next one.